It's a very disappointing feeling. Obviously, Roma loses to Napoli around the 88th minute with a goal, extraordinary goal from Osimhen, it must be said. And I'm going to let people jump in here. This live stream, everybody, if you're jumping in from wherever you are. I'm Wayne Gerard, and this is the Roma-Napoli post-match. So let's do this. Roma approached this match, I thought, in the correct way. I thought Mourinho had his tactics down solid. I thought that Spalletti was very risk-taking. We could see even within the first 5 minutes, he's pushing the players way, way, way up the pitch. And Napoli actually almost gets an early opportunity. However, Roma was very well organized into this one. All right, I'm going to be going over every single play, or at least every notable play of this match. And let me know what you're thinking right now. Write in your comments, of course, and I'll be going through everything as well as the Mourinho interview. And I'm sure a lot of fans are feeling disappointed right now. I'm just checking on Twitter to see what's going on. Any news that keeps coming up. Mourinho had some interesting post-match comments. Of course, he gets the yellow card throughout this match. Look in here. All right, so we start this one off, guys. I'm going to be going through and just write your comments in as I'm going along. In the first few minutes, Smalling gets a leg on the play and gets the ball out. That's actually in the first minute, so he already had an impact in the first 60 seconds. He wins another important battle against Osimhen, so he was isolated against him for many times throughout this match. And Napoli are pressing high up, like the first 5 minutes, as I just mentioned, very high up the pitch. In the 6th minute, though, Zaniolo's curler goes over the top after cutting in against Lobotka. He did very well there to dribble past the center midfielder, cuts in on his left from a tight angle, and it goes a little bit wide, but a few feet high as well. A few minutes later, Tammy passes it across the goal, but I don't think Pellegrini read the play, and he didn't continue his run across goal, and nothing comes of it. And that was a very quality opportunity just in the first few minutes there. After that, Zaniolo runs down to the Napoli box, then is tracked back, and then he tracks back and wins it, and that's in the 26th minute. And he was really acting as the first line of defense there. So he made the run, misses it, and then he's actually at the goal line, Napoli's goal line, runs all the way back to the midway. And it was a tremendous effort by him. I thought that throughout the entire match, he was relentless. But I'll be getting to that in a little bit. In the 27th minute, just a minute later, a shot from Zielinski from outside the box is hard and low, but saved by Rui. Zielinski had a pretty good game, I thought. In the 40th minute, the referee blows the whistle, calls the foul against Rui Patricio, gives a penalty kick, goes to VAR, correctly overturned. It was the right decision there. Of course, in real time, to me, I thought that he got it, and then the video proved it. So I was interested to see how the referee blew that so early, but otherwise, I thought he had a fine game. A few minutes later, 44th minute now, Lozano skips around Ibanez and gets his shot off, but it's saved by Rui again. The Lozano-Ibanez battle, to me, was a subplot. Very good one today, and those two players really going at each other. See, elbows to the face, shoulders. Lozano is a bit of a diver, as Mourinho said today. However, I thought that the two of them were really going at it, and that was a quality matchup to see. In the 45th plus 2, a yellow for Lozano after yelling at the ref after Ibanez pushes him off the ball. So that story keeps on giving. The first half ends. I thought Roma did well as a team, but got beat a few times on individual errors. Tactically perfect. Thought Mourinho had exactly what was needed. Like I mentioned, there were a few opportunities so early on, and that's exactly what you want. You're not going to go toe-to-toe with Napoli and play their game and get the same amount of goals and not let in any. So being realistic, I thought that Mourinho had it to a T here. Kvara was confined. Lozano was very active, as I just mentioned. Lobotka athletic. Osimhen barely had a touch. Zaniolo was a big obstacle down that flank. Kamara was very active, and Zielinski was strong, just to name some players who I thought were the highlights going into that match. And guys, let me know how the audio quality is doing. I'm using some generic Apple AirPods. No, here, what do you call these? Airbuds today. Okay. So the second half begins. Lozano gets a quick shot again. Smalling makes a spectacular save after another Napoli big chance. Been naming those names quite a bit today, and we're getting some comments coming in. Sammy says Cristante played very well. I thought so as well. I thought Cristante should be mentioned. Really closed the gaps today. There were questions or moments where I kept my eye on him to see exactly what he was doing, and his job was not so much attacking, but actually just making sure that Napoli was not allowed to buy up space in the center attacking midfield for them. And he really man-marked their attacking mids very well. He stepped at the right time, forced a lot of balls to kill their possession and initiate Roma's. So I think that's a great shout as well. I was really happy with the Kamara Cristante partnership today. 61st minute, probably the best chance of the game. A massive chance is saved. And then on the rebound, that was from Zaniolo, put it across the face of goal. Kamara cannot get it off. It gets blocked. And Mancini was actually in there. Mancini, terrific game as well, should be mentioned. And then that goes the other way. And Juan Jesus actually sees his shot tipped away by Smalling again. Poor Chris. And then in the 63rd minute, Belotti goes in for Abraham. Abraham, who had a non-memorable match. I cannot remember one good play that he had. I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm just being honest. I don't really remember him showing up today. And I think that will be one big criticism from the fans as well as his coach is like, buddy, what are you doing? And he's going to have to prove himself, I think, to become a starter because at this moment, I think Belotti is the better option. For the next 5 minutes between the 63rd and 68th minute, it's back and forth. The fouls were mounting, definitely edgy with a lot of tension, but Zaniolo stayed hustling. And then in the 70th minute, there's a big chance that gets blocked. I'm sorry, that was the play where that goes back and forth. That was in the 70th minute. So that big chance I mentioned, I actually forget off the top of my head what that was in the 61st minute. But Roma at least 3 or 4 big chances today. By the 70th minute, Kamara had covered 8.5 kilometers, significant. So an ever-present force in the midfield. Kamara then, I think around the 73rd, makes a great run, bypasses a midfielder, takes Osimhen on her ride. He did a great job there. Gets fouled, actually, and I think makes the pass off to Zaniolo, I believe it was. But Zaniolo was actually pinned into a corner, and I thought that the referee should have blown that one because the advantage was killed and Roma's attack was really stifled once it was a 3v1 in the corner for Zaniolo and not in really a threatening position. Okay, 74th minute, Ibanez yellow. He gets a yellow after catching Lozano in the face. The 75th, Lozano goes out for Politano. And Gaetano comes in. Gaetano had played just 16 minutes so far this season, and he comes in for Zielinski, the 22-year-old Gaetano, that is. Spalletti is then yellow carded, so both managers picking up yellows. And then in the 78th minute, another moment for Zaniolo here where he makes a great run, is brought down for a foul. Oliveira gets a yellow off that. Pellegrini takes the subsequent free kick, which gets blocked. It wasn't a good one. I actually thought for a second Zaniolo was going to take it because he lined up and he had, I thought, at least a little bit of an angle there. I was a little surprised he didn't take that. And then in the 80th minute, Osimhen scores from an impossible angle, outmuscles Smalling. But Mourinho's whole game plan is that the center backs are not isolated like that. He tries to mitigate any of those issues that you might have. He is not, it doesn't take me to tell you this, a manager who wants his players to be up. But in one very good pass, I don't know who passed that ball in, but it was a dagger. And Osimhen just does such a good job after isolating Smalling. Osimhen's much younger. He's probably 8 to 9 years younger than Chris. And he just gets past him and off the tightest of angles, he converts it. And I thought it was very unlucky. I suppose you could accuse Rui Patricio of not doing the best on his near post. However, to get that one in from such a hard angle for a player that had relatively nothing the entire match except a couple of... Actually, you know what? He did have 2 shots, which he should have done a lot better on. And then he just crucifies Roma with such a good shot there. And And Osimhen is, to me, a very frustrating player. Not easy on the eye, but then his first game back after a 6-week layoff makes Roma pay the price. Around the 81st minute, Eldor replaces Spinazzola. Not much from him. I'm going to get to some comments before I go over my players of the game. Okay, Roman says, was not a bad display overall, but we sort of forgot about the attacking part. 0 shots on goal. And there, I'll help you out there, Roman. So we see 6 shots, but 0 on target, whereas Napoli had 5. 40% possession for Roma. I'm not worried about that. And then the fouls, 14. Both sides had their fair shares. They were really going at it. This was, for 80 minutes, one of the best 0-0 matches I've seen in forever. So Marco's here in the house. By the way, guys, if you're new to this channel, give this one a thumbs up, subscribe. I know we've got a bunch of new people coming in today. Ishmael says, if we lose to Lazio with all our injuries, we're going to be in a serious problem. Yeah, that derby is approaching 2 weeks, 2 more weeks. So this November 6th is the derby. That's a Sunday, I believe. And Lazio has just jumped into 3rd place. What's up, coach? How we doing? So, as I was mentioning, Osimhen, Manchester United target in the past. Well, not just United, but a target for a lot of big European teams. I think that some managers will have watched the way that he got around Smalling and believe that that technique of his, combined with his physique and his size, that he could be a very good Premier League player. And I wonder how much Napoli would really miss him with Simeone coming into his own. But at this moment in time, Napoli seems to be the number 1 team in Serie A. I have to say that if the league ended today and Napoli were crowned champions, I would understand and I would say, yeah, they deserve it. So we've got some other comments coming here. Some I'm not going to post, Marco, like that one about Mourinho out. No. I thought it was a great performance today. So Zalewski gets injured. Something happened to him overnight, which is why he was actually supposed to be starting in place of Karsdorp. Karsdorp has just come back from his meniscus injury, and I won't comment on what happened with him after the match because I don't have anything certified yet, nothing legit coming. But I'm sure there's going to be a suspension following him putting his hands on the ref, whether it was a push or just going like that and putting his hands after he had been carded. I'm not too hopeful about that one, but we really need Zalewski back. Of course, could have been a different game with him. On the ball, we can really see the difference between the two sides, says Morin. Ishmael says, I thought it was a great performance, but unlucky. Karsdorp played very well. Hey, man, what's up, Inter ex-Yugoslavia? Pavi, that was for Karsdorp, who got in, I think he said something to the ref, and then it escalated them from there. Did Karsdorp get a red after the match? The match was ended. Spalletti got a yellow. I don't believe he got a red, and it was Karsdorp. We basically have to win our next 4 matches. Not an easy feat. Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to go over my players of the game, the guys who I thought that did really, really well. I'm going to pull up a nice little branding here from my boy. No, that's not it. Is it that one? No. Where's Chris Smalling? I think I may have deleted that one. That's okay. Anyway, I thought Chris Smalling otherwise played a phenomenal game. It stinks that happened to him. However, his blocks were almost as good as goals, the quality of them tonight, keeping out Napoli for as long as he did. He has been a real asset to this team, we can say, over the past 10 rounds. And he's one of the few reasons, I think, why Mourinho's tactics have really stuck with this Roma. Why Roma can hang on to matches, because you have a player who can sustain the rest of his defense and organize them. As well as Mancini, I thought had one of his best games in red today. And Ibanez showed a lot of growth. That battle with Lozano's growing into a very complete winger. And Ibanez he got stripped once. I'll admit that. But otherwise, Ibanez had a really good game against a really tricky winger. Kamara, excellent, right? 70 minutes in, he's already ran 8.5 kilometers. But on top of that, where he runs to is almost as important to how much he runs. He's overloading sides of the pitch, quadrants along the entire field, and he adds a new dimension to this midfield that Roma does not have when it's Pellegrini and Matic, or when it's Matic and Kamara, or not Kamara, but any other midfield that we've used thus far. And I really believe in him to go forward right now without Wijnaldum. There's going to be a few more months, probably till February. So I do think that Kamara, with what he offers, with not just getting back and like box-to-box duties, but also his offensive intelligence, being able to sit behind the top three or the top four attackers and supply them and help them overload defensive quadrants, like I mentioned, and be able to outnumber the opponent. So Kamara, coming over from Olympiacos, is a sleeper signing that right now I think is going to be influential for the remainder of the season. I'm hoping. Smalling, Kamara, Zaniolo, as I mentioned. I love Zaniolo. I know Zaniolo gets a lot of slack on social media or what it may be, but to me, he's a fighter. Today, he proved that. He draws fouls in valuable areas. He makes a great pass across the face of goal. So not only creating plays, but drawing in fouls, creating dangerous opportunities for Roma. None of it got converted today, obviously. Works his socks off, stretches out the defense. Like, what more do you want from a winger? I get it, the goals and the numbers, but that will come. The most important thing is that he is producing and he's trying hard and he's actually creating things. And the rest of the team, as the quality improves across the board, then Zaniolo's numbers will naturally improve. But the most important thing is to see him being out there and doing his thing and grinding out performances the way that he did today. So I really won't stand for Zaniolo slander. Not interested in it. Okay. Here we got some comments coming in. I'm going to take a break from talking about Zaniolo, my buddy. Napoli unstoppable at the moment. Yeah, they're looking like a great team. Just finding ways to win, right? You can have decent teams and very good teams. I would say Napoli is very good. Are they incredible? No, they're not incredible. They're a very, very good team, and they continue to find ways to win. Mourinho says, Kamara showed what our midfield was missing. Yep, sure does. I like him a lot, man. I remember posting like a highlight of him a week or two ago, and somebody said it was a highlight reel of Kamara and what he's contributed to Roma thus far. Someone said something like, yeah, let's hype him up, like being sarcastic. It's like, no, it's not hyping up. Just happy to have a guy who wants to go out and play a game and work a shift. I think that's really important. Roman says, agree 100%. Chris was our best, and not only this game. England should take him and leave Tammy out. Tammy didn't deserve to be there at all. I agree. I can't call up Tammy right now for England, but Chris, how do you go on without him? I would ask Southgate at this moment. Kaze talks as I watched the first half and a bit of the second half. Kamara playing next to Cristante has improved Roma's midfield so much. Not just having Mady Kamara in good form, but also Cristante is better. Yeah, I've noticed that as well. Like I was saying a few minutes ago, Cristante being able to read the defensive play, stepping in when he needs to, kicking the ball away, initiating the attack, disrupting Napoli's attack. I don't like to use words twice in a row because I just used attack. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm looking for synonyms with attack. But disrupting Napoli's attack. Why, Pavi says, why Tammy and Pellegrini are struggling this year? Do you think we play slightly different? I have no idea why Tammy has been struggling. I'm not sure if players have been marking him much more, if Mourinho's tactics have actually shifted to be a bit more defensive, to give more offensive responsibility to the wingers, perhaps. But regardless, his hold-up play has not been all that great. His finishing has not been good. Oftentimes, forwards at 24 years of age, they'll have slumps up until they're in like their best years, 26, 27, and they start to reliably score. I'm wondering if this is just a mental rut and something he needs to go and he needs to pass. Perhaps it's his preparation, his training. These are things I'm not privy to, but I'm just assuming or guessing that these might be some contributing factors as to why he's been struggling. Sometimes a player gets used to playing at a high level and they think that they can do it and they don't have to change anything, but as some young players will find out, the game constantly evolves and you have to keep working and bettering yourself. Morin says, I just don't think this formation works attacking wise, but the issue is that then you have to drop one of the back three who are crucial for the set pieces. I do think that it works attacking wise when the players are on. And when they're not, it's evident when your XG is way up, but your goal scored is down here. And that can't happen, right? And this is at the expense of leaking in more goals and creating more chances. So I would rather see Roma, who has the organization, who has bought into this coach and wants him here for a very long time and wants to equip him with the players that he needs. I want to see them play and buy and get the manager the players that he needs, the one who has won titles and is one of the most winning, if not the most winning coach in European history. Get him the guys he needs, and this takes time, right? You can't just have a complete overhaul. There's a team in England right now. Is it Wolverhampton or the Wanderers? I think maybe the Wanderers, who gotten a major overhaul of their team, 24 new players. You can't do it. It takes time. So I'd rather equip Mourinho with the guys that he wants in order to play the brand of football that he wants, and getting that trust between organization, ownership, and the manager. And maybe that's going to take one or two more windows. However, it takes time. Napoli has had this core for quite a while. They did some excellent scouting this year. And you know what? Roma was toe-to-toe with them for 80 minutes. It was one great shot. Yeah, what it was. I'm thinking of Nottingham Forest. It's Nottingham Forest or Wolverhampton. One of those two teams. I think it was Nottingham who brought in like 21 players. If you quick Google search will tell you that. Got a quote coming in here from Roman. Ibanez was forced to limit his tackles because of that kid Lozano who dives all the time. Nice one there from Jose. Ishmael says, I'm tired of this free transfer nonsense. It doesn't always work, and we can't keep getting lucky with players like Kamara. It's one strategy that teams will take, especially when they're trying to lower their amortization. Teams pay X amount per year. It's not like when you buy a player for 20 million euros, you buy whatever, Berardi, Fratesi, whoever it is, 20 million euros, you pay all of that up front. It gets put in installments. So Roma, because of bad purchases 4 or 5 years ago under Monchi, and even back then under Petracchi, a lot of dead weight, all that amounts. So what Roma can actually do, which is a team, actually an organization that loses quite a bit of money per year over the past several years, is you have to be financially pragmatic. You have to go with the options which help you competitively, but still don't put you in a tough position financially. We see Selic, he was bought for, I think, 7 million euros this year, and the rest, as Ishmael said, have been purchased on freeze or brought in on freeze. But that's the nature. Right now, the Friedkins are looking to absolve the debt. I believe they just pumped in, I have the article actually right here. They're looking to invest 100 million euros into the club to lower debt before issuing a new bond, according to Bloomberg. The bond right now is set to expire, which was 275 million euros. So Roma has their own off-field issues, and this is not just a Manchester City type club where it's just irresponsibly, a trillionaire just buys it and it doesn't matter. The budget, the red line is insignificant, right? It's not exactly the case right now. And because this is a business, the owners are definitely looking to make it financially sustainable. They don't want a team that just continues to lose 50 million euros per year. That's not an investment. So, all right, we're just about to get to our guy Mourinho, but let's take a look at some other things right before we get into our guy. This is the starting formation. I'll leave this up here for a little bit, and we see Osimhen, Lozano, Kvaratskhelia, Zielinski, Lobotka, and Dombele is very good starting 11 there by Napoli. On top of that, we've got Roma's 5 across, which is Karsdorp, Cristante, Pellegrini, Kamara, Spinazzola. Pellegrini, this isn't accurate. This is off from Google, and these formations often get published by the league. And what you'll see from CBS versus the league is sometimes the league will override it, and so you'll see different based on DAZN or DAZN or CBS, whoever the distributor is, might have a different looking setup. But really, what this should look like is Pellegrini somewhere like to the left and Abraham more centralized right there. But anyway, I don't want to get caught up on the little things. Right now, Roma sit in 5th 22 points, and Lazio have leapfrogged this past round with 24, so 2 plus 2, as well as Atalanta. So Roma find themselves out of the Champions League places again after having jumped into them this past week. Napoli 29, 3 up on Milan, and the bottom here, Torino sneaking in Juventus way down with Inter. So Juventus now 3 points separating them from Roma, and just 1 point separating Roma from Inter. Let's move on. Throw the stats up there. Something to look at for the time being. Do I think Roma can go top 4? I do. I think it's going to be a lot of hard work. I want to see Dybala back, Wijnaldum, and then we'll talk about a different story. And I want to say if Dybala was in the match today, Roma would have won this game. You can take that one to the bank. I'm confident in saying that. Let's get rid of that overlay. Okay. Can't wait to see us play with our whole potential. Wijnaldum, Dybala, everyone fit. Yeah. Selic back as well. I do think that Roma will make some moves in January. I think that if they do, they can get back to the Champions League. Now, the difference between Europa League and Champions League, I think it's smart in the winter to invest in a good player, because if you're on that cusp, that 5th through 4th cusp, right, and you're just trying to get into the Champions League, well, that difference financially is astronomical. When you look at the media rights, just by getting to the group stages, you might make something like 20 million euros off the bat, more than you would in the Europa League. If you get into like the round of 16 the following year, you're like way up over 50 million euros. So sometimes that player investment to get you over the hump is well worth it. Let's go into some Mourinho quotes. I've got my banner here. Yeah. Did you play the game you expected? Mourinho is asked after speaking to DAZN after. He says, we played enough of a match in order not to lose. I wanted to win the same way they did, with a couple of shots and a goal. It was difficult, but a controlled game. After so many thrillers, we have been in trouble. One of the few dangerous situations in the second half, Cristante couldn't just make a simple foul. Then we got tired with several players, and I had few solutions on the bench. Karsdorp was a surprise starter because he had to play after Zalewski had to pull out. Pellegrini also asked me to change because he had a problem with his hip flexor. Matic was injured and didn't train all week, but he told us he would help us for 10 to 15 minutes. However, it was a controlled game against a great team, and I have a feeling of injustice. Un abbraccio to mine, because they did what they could. Whoever scored a goal won, and Napoli did. So it's like a saying, see, like an abbraccio, a hug. It's like a hug to mine. It's like an abbraccio is a phrase like, I'm showing care, come here, give a warm embrace, because he feels, crappy that his team did not deserve to lose, and I very much agree with him. He's then asked, did you expect something more offensive? In the second half, we had chances, he says, in 2 and then against 1, and instead we lost the ball without aiming for the area. Without aiming for the area. Yeah, that has been Roma's problem, hasn't it? We had a few occasions, but have not been able to score. It was a difficult game. They are a great team. I don't want to talk about the referee. Irati is a good ref, balanced not only in our games. There were some things I didn't like, but I talked to him after the game. In the second half, the distance increased between the two. We lowered our blood pressure due to fatigue. It's a weird translation there. Lowered our blood pressure. Like we lowered our pace, I think is the more appropriate, due to fatigue. Karsdorp was on Oliveira and Mancini on Kvara. On the other side, there were Spinazzola on Di Lorenzo and Ibanez on Lozano, who always dives. We have lowered our pace, and they raised. They dominated the field after the 65th minute because we were tired. In the first half, we checked them, like we went toe-to-toe with them, played a good match for our potential. I had 4 Primavera boys on the bench, with Vigna having to play on the right. With a squad like ours, every injury is a problem. I don't like coming home after a defeat. I have positive feelings, though. And there's another match on Thursday. Yeah, well said. Mourinho's actually post-match comments, I think, have been on a tee. He has this reputation for throwing his players under the bus. I really don't see that. I think he's deflected so much off of his players so far this season. So he's just ruining the chances missed, as we all are. Then he's asked about growth. Where's the team's room for growth? He says, right now we don't have a lot of quality. In the stats, there are goals and shots. In my analysis, there also half opportunities that the players have to transform into goals. Osimhen could have had a shot in the North Curva, for instance. The players make the difference. Sometimes I regret watching my players accumulate the minutes, and it's not the same to play against a fresh team or one that has a lot of minutes on their legs. We didn't play in the middle of the week, but we were in trouble. Congratulations to them who won without deserving, but also congratulations to mine who lost without deserving it. Irati didn't play a good game, but it can happen. Case closed there from Mourinho. Let me know what you think about that press conference. By the way, guys, give this video a like and subscribe. New people as well. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks for writing in. It's always nice to hear from you. Disappointing loss for Roma, for sure. But they played, I think, a very strong match. A lot of promising signs from today. And a lot of guts, grinta. You know, that sort of thing. Roma really approached this match, I thought, in the best way. And they wanted to win. And if there was a little bit more quality on the pitch, they would have won. And now I'm really ruining the absence of Dybala. Okay. Morden says, on a positive side, with basically the same squad as last season, except Kamara, we matched Napoli for 80 minutes. Yeah. Sounds like Pellegrini is playing with pain and pushed to his limits. I wonder if something is going on. Today, he looked a little out of place again. He's not playing like a typical winger in a 4-3-3, let's say, like in that trident, where he's forced to press the opposition and make them play the ball to the outside. And in a way, sometimes it looks like the center backs almost like dribble past him and he doesn't try. So I'm curious to know what his actual role is. To me, he looks like a libero, not really a trequartista, but a libero attacker. And really what that player is a fantasista, a number 10 in Italy, but he's not playing like that. He doesn't have that skill set either. So it's strange. I want to keep watching him, like zeroing in and just watching him play to see his movements a little bit more. I also want to see him drop back. I just like him much more in midfield. But, you know, I wonder if you had a 3 there. If you put a 4-3-3 and you had Pellegrini with Cristante as the true defensive midfielder and Kamara on the other side of Pellegrini, like a 1-2 formation with Cristante as the deepest player, I really wonder how that would work. I feel like it would, to be honest with you. Yeah, it hasn't been too hot for Rui Patricio statistically wise, and it's definitely frustrating. Marco says, we have so much fatigue because Mourinho wants every player to constantly play defense. Everyone who ever played football knows how tough it is to play on the back foot most of the game. It is exhausting, that's for sure. When you're constantly chasing, it's also mentally exhausting, and that's one thing that the players will have to adjust to. And I thought that Cristante, not to bring him up again, but I thought that he did a good job today staying mentally on. Because as Marco says here, it is mentally exhausting to constantly, or physically exhausting to constantly chase the game and watch. Because you're always thinking like, am I a half meter off? Am I exactly where I need to be? Well, this guy's coming in now. Am I cutting off his angles? And you're running an algorithm in your head, trying to make sure that you're covering every possible scenario to prevent that ball from getting through. Man. Jeez. Guys, keep throwing in some comments. I'm going to go a few minutes more. I have a lot of regret after this match. I want to see if anything else popped up. I want to throw some tweets of the week in one of these. Maybe like later on. Let's see what Roma's schedule is. Roma's schedule. We have got Verona on Halloween, October 31st at 1:30 p.m. That is a Monday. I have jury duty. Hopefully I'll be able to watch that one because I won't be going into work. And then we're off to Finland, HJK, on Thursday. That's at 3 o'clock, so I'll definitely be able to watch that one. Roma still looking to get to second spot in the Europa League, which is actually becoming the better to watch competition than the Champions League because of the teams that will be dropping down. Ay, man. And then we've got Ludogorets November 3rd after Verona, and then the Derby, and then Sassuolo, and then on to Torino before the World Cup there. So what's the official last game here? That's going to be Roma-Torino. So that should be a good one. Hopefully Roma could get 3 points there and go into the break with a nice win, something for momentum there. But I'm getting a nice comment in here also from Twitter. Same handle if you use Twitter at all. Somebody just said, I look forward to when Kamara is in full match fitness. He's definitely a game changer. Unfortunate for Smalling, but played a spectacular game. I wonder what would have happened if Viña hadn't taken the ball off Cristante's foot as he was about to crack it. Yeah, we didn't mention that one, did we? When Viña gets in the way of Cristante, takes the ball away from him and passes it like, I don't know, backwards. It was something like that. It was a very confusing play there by Viña. But the worst thing to me today is just the lack of 3 points. If you had a draw, I think it's a much different atmosphere. It just stinks because Roma didn't deserve to lose. We need one match where we have a 5-0 win. Yeah, like a big beating on some type of club, definitely. And Liverpool, Napoli have had those against a team like Liverpool, right? And they get spirits high. Think about the end of the day, what your feelings are when you go back to the locker room. Everyone's high. They're not, high as in like spirits are high, and everyone's celebrating, having a lot of fun, and you carry that with you. The next day you go back to work, and now you're happy when you're at work, and you start relaxing, and you're playing for your football, and all of a sudden things start to come together a little bit more. Maybe Chaturunga, maybe should have been Bove. Yeah, it's been tough on Viña. Guys, I'm going to sign off in 1 minute now. I'm going to recap this game one more time. Give this video a like before I do that. Ultimately, Roma pay the price for Osimhen's moment of brilliance. However, they deserve definitely a goal and definitely a draw at the very least today. It was a great game for Zaniolo. I thought he hustled his butt off. He created chances. He drew important fouls in valuable spaces. Cristante had a very good match for himself. Mancini, Ibanez, they were great next to Smalling. The back three was very, very good. Thank you, Pavi. Appreciate that. Also, I've been reading a lot of really nice comments on the preview I did for the Roma-Napoli preview. I really appreciate that, everybody. It really makes me smile and motivates me to keep going. So, Forza Roma, as always, and I will be back for the preview against HJK later into the week. Ciao, guys. Thank you so much.